Hello there, you're with NDTV. I'm Maha Siddiqui. Our top story at the moment, the Murugamat Seer Shivamurthy Sharanaru has been arrested. This comes 6 days after allegations of rape of minors surfaced against him. He's a powerful Lingayat leader and has been booked under the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act, that's the POCSO Act, for allegedly sexually abusing minor girls inside the mud. Let me go across to Shrija for more details now. Shrija, what more information are you picking up from the police at the moment, or do they continue to remain tight-lipped?
So what we do know at the moment is, yes, of course, he was picked up from the Murugamat, but he was arrested very, very discreetly because, the media persons, we were all present right outside the Murugamat. Now, that is the usual exit and entry point that's used, by any common person or anybody for that matter, any elite person entering. That is the usual entry and exit path that they take to Murugamat. Now, that is the place, where we went on to see several of the police officers making an entry and exit. But unfortunately, we see that it was this particular arrest of the seer. Dr. Shivamurthy Sharanaru was made very, very discreetly. He was taken through the back door of this particular Murugamat, but we had information saying that he will be taken to the DYSP office and also be produced in the court. So the place that we are reporting from is the DC circle. Onto my right is the Sessions Court, and just right onto my left is the DC office. Now, this is exactly the place where, today late afternoon, we went on to see protests break out. There were several people, a common man, and also several various organizations demanding the arrest of the seer being made. Even after 6 days, there's no arrest being made. Now, that was the question that was being raised by the protesters and also by the public. It was a complete public outrage, what we witnessed a few hours ago. So clearly, just about, much later, we saw this arrest happening, but again, it happened. It was a backdoor arrest, what we went on to see. But where exactly he has been taken, by the police is something that's not clear yet. We tried asking the additional SP as well. They remain very, very tight-lipped about his movements. But there are certain, sources in the police also trying to tell us that they might have moved him, especially to a nearest police station. So he could be interrogated or, after various rounds of questioning, because what we understand from the police is they were trying to gather evidence all this while because they had Rashmi, who is the accused number 2 in this particular case, where the POCSO charges have been filed against. There are a total of 4 accused in this particular case, where 2 of the minor girls aged between 15 and 16 who were studying, especially here right inside the Murugamat, they were in the girls' hostel. Now, they had filed charges against, not just against the seer, but also against, Rashmi, who is the Murugamat warden, and 2 other people as well. So the police had detained Rashmi, the accused number 2 in this particular case. They questioned her, like several rounds of questioning happened today. And after that, they had detained and sent her to, they kept her in in a kendra, that is a kendra that is dedicated especially for the domestic abuse victims, sexual abuse victims. So that is the particular place where they had kept her. But much later, a few hours, at least about 5-6 hours later, we see this arrest happening. But where exactly has the police taken the seer? That is still not known yet.
Also, Shrija, do we have any idea of what the seer's legal team is likely to do? Because we understand that he had sought an anticipatory bail. That did not work out. The matter would have been heard on Friday, but now that becomes infructuous. So are we getting any details of what the other side is looking at?
Well, what we hear is that now that the arrest has been made, of course, he will be produced before the court as well. There are chances that they will, of course, the team will go forward with the bail application, since the anticipatory bail hearing could not come up today because they gave 1 day's time for the state to file the objections. We see that the team of the Seer could move for a bail application. That is what we hear. But for now, we understand Dr. Shivamurthy Sharanaru, the pontiff of the Muruga Mutt in Chitradurga of Karnataka, is in the custody of the police nearly after 6 days, where the FIR was first registered in Mysuru district and much later it was transferred here to Chitradurga. Now, all this while we kept seeing how the police was dilly-dallying. We also went on to see where the police was not giving us any answers as to why, there was a kind of a preferential treatment over here, because had it been a common man, you would clearly see an arrest that's being made immediately. But in this particular case, it is exceptional, because we went on to see, of course, several of the officers did point to the fact, saying that it is the prerogative of the investigating officer. It doesn't necessarily mean if the POCSO charges are filed against the person or the accused, he has to be arrested immediately. Now, that was the answer given by several of the police officers. And of course, nearly 6 days later, we see the arrest that's being made. He's been taken into custody. And we also did see various developments take place in these last 6 days, because as the chorus grew louder, why exactly he's not been arrested? Where an accused, he's been accused of POCSO charges. He's been accused of sexually assaulting these minor girls in the mutt, in the premises of this mutt. While, you also had on the other hand several of the BJP leaders rallying behind him. Even today, when we were at the mutt, we were reporting at the mutt, we went on to see BJP's, Naveen, also KS Naveen MLC did, of course, go and visit the Mutt Seer as well. So in the last few days, we've been seeing several of the developments take place and come from, especially the ruling dispensation, the BJP outrightly, in fact, supporting him, giving him a clean chit, even before the police began questioning him. But now we see the police have already sought his custody. He is in their custody. So whether the interrogation has started, whether the questioning has started, those are certain things details which are still not known yet. His movements are still, kept under wraps at the moment.
All right, Shrija May, thanks for getting us all those details. As Shrija is mentioning at the moment, even though the Seer has been arrested, it's been done quite discreetly, and also the fact that the police remain tight-lipped on the issue. Let's quickly listen in to what the survivors, the minor survivors, lawyer had to say. Srinivas DC spoke with us right after the news of the arrest of the Seer came through. Listen in.
Thankful to all media to focus this issue national-wide and its part in rendering justice to the victim girls. I'm thankful to all media.
Right.
Ultimately, I received a message that the accused has been taken into custody. I don't know whether it is arrest or not. If it is arrest, then definitely the justice has been rendered to the victim girls. Even if it is delayed, ultimately justice has been given to the victim girl. I'm very happy about this, and I'm thankful to all media.
Srinivas, I also want to ask you about the protection of the survivors here. What kind of protection would you seek from the state, considering we are talking about a Seer who is very powerful and politically very well connected?
Yes, of course. The children are in custody of CWC, and they have to be sent to the place to which the victim girls choose that is safe. That is the first thing they have to do.
Okay.
And this powerful and influential person should not interfere in the routine life of the other victims also and other students also. That should be ensured.
Also, Srinivas, since we have seen that, and as I was just mentioning, that the Seer belonging to a very important community in Karnataka, the Lingayat community, which has a sizable number of votes in the Karnataka elections also. There is politics at play too. Under these circumstances, what is your request to the political class at the moment?
See, madam, I am not particular about any caste or religion. This is an issue pertaining to a person. Don't politicize any caste or religion here. Here the victims are the poor girls. And support for her cause. And support for her, what is her grievances. Don't try to politicize all these issues. And this is not about a caste or this is not about a religion. That's what I request all the politicians and other general public.
Let's move on now to some other stories. The Arvind Kejriwal government conducted the confidence test in the assembly on Thursday to send out a message to the BJP that their Operation Lotus has failed. However, the battle continues with both sides protesting against each other and alleging corruption.
After 4 days of speeches, protests, counter-protests and even a dramatic face-off, Delhi's Aam Aadmi Party government finally held and easily won the trust vote.
मैं सामान्य सा आदमी हूं, एक मिडिल क्लास का सामान्य से परिवार में पैदा हुआ, आईआईटी गया, आज मेरे दोनों बच्चे आईआईटी में पढ़ रहे हैं। मेरा आज एक ही सपना है कि जो शिक्षा इस देश ने मेरे को दी, मेरे बच्चों को दी है, वो शिक्षा मैं इस देश के हर बच्चे को दिला पाऊं मेरी जिंदगी में।
However, Arvind Kejriwal has thrown a new political challenge to the Congress. He's announced a Make India #1 Yatra, which he will start from Haryana on the 7th of September, the same date that Rahul Gandhi's Bharat Jodo Yatra will also be flagged off by the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister.
भ्रष्टाचार में पकड़े ना जाएं हम, जेल जाने से बचने के लिए तरह तरह के प्रपंच कर रहे हैं। ये चलने वाले नहीं हैं और मुख्यमंत्री जी खुद इस भ्रष्टाचार में शामिल हैं।
As the Congress prepares for Rahul Gandhi's big yatra, it has announced that Rahul will sleep in containers during the 148-day-long yatra as a way to connect with people. But the Congress is also facing more rumblings, this time over the electoral rolls for the Congress president's election. A number of senior party leaders, including Manish Tiwari, Shashi Tharoor, Karti Chidambaram and Anand Sharma, have demanded the publication of the rolls and more transparency. The party says all contestants would be given the list, but it will not be shared on the website.
Rolls, electoral rolls are not provided on the roads of Delhi. Do you think a chai wala or a person selling golgappas would be providing you with the electoral rolls?
A padyatra never seen before, because some people do padyatra, some people do yatras in Volvo buses, as we know, but this is a padyatra. He's going to walk from Kanyakumari to Jammu and Kashmir.
Meanwhile, the opposition seems to be all over the place. A day after KCR and Nitish Kumar spoke of forming a main front against the BJP, Mamata Banerjee in this video can be seen praising the RSS. However, she has not officially responded to this, but the video clearly shows her saying that RSS is not that bad. The Congress has also not spoken.
আরএসএস এর নাম করে আরএসএস এত খারাপ ছিল না এবং এত খারাপ বলে বিশ্বাস করি না। এখনো ওদের মধ্যে কিছু ভদ্র লোক আছে যারা বিজেপি কে এভাবে করে না সাপোর্ট, তারাও একদিন পাপ ভাঙবে।
Kejriwal is pressing on with his own ambitions and has said that he will meet MK Stalin in Chennai in the backdrop of several non-Congress opposition leaders reaching out to each other in the run-up to the 2024 general elections. Bureau Report, NDTV.
Now, a press conference by two chief ministers, vital for projecting opposition unity, served up a viral moment when Telangana's K. Chandrasekhar Rao tackled questions on the prime ministerial candidate, while his Bihar counterpart Nitish Kumar tried to leave. Many see it as an example of the opposition's dissonance on a big question: who will be the prime ministerial candidate versus Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
अब चलिए ऐसा देखिए मैं कौन होता हूँ। अब चलिए एक मिनट बैठिए। 50 मिनट हो गया आपका। बैठिए मैंने प्लीज मैंने बता दिया। मैंने उनका नाम लिया तो आप बैठ जाइए।
अब चलिए नहीं झूठ मूठ नहीं
बैठिए,
अब इसके चक्कर में मत करेंगे।
बैठिए।
अरे भाई ये सब छोड़ दो,
आप बैठिए ना सर, बैठिए प्लीज।
सबके बारे में कह रहे हैं कि सबको हम लोग यूनाइट करने की कोशिश करेंगे।
जी बैठिए ना।
हाँ हो गया, चलिए ना, छोड़िए
जी।
अरे
बैठिए ना सर,
चलिए ना, अब आप
बैठिए। पाल से बता रहे नहीं सब बैठिए ना। चलिए
Meanwhile, it appears that Nitish Kumar is all set to announce the campaign for 2024 because posters have been seen outside which are giving a projection that they are all set to take on the BJP. Now, leaders of Jharkhand's ruling JMM Congress coalition met Governor Ramesh Bes amidst uncertainty over Hemant Soren's continuation as the chief minister. The MLAs have complained that leaks from the governor's office are causing commotion and in a letter requested that he clear the air. The letter says that selective leaks encourage political brinkmanship to destabilize the democratically elected government headed by Hemant Soren by illegal means, pointing fingers at the BJP.
The delegation of the ruling alliance, including ministers and MLAs, have met the governor and pushed him to take a decision. He simply cannot sit on it, is what they believe, and they're asking him to take a decision one way or the other. Now, what are Hemant Soren's options? Well, if he's disqualified only and not debarred from contesting, then of course he can resign once he's disqualified, get elected as the majority group, and then get elected as an MLA within 6 months, and that would mean his continuance in office as chief minister. If he's debarred, then it gives rise to a whole new problem. But the legal position on this is that this is an offence that doesn't carry the punishment of debarring of contesting elections. Hemant Soren is confident that he will find a way out of this political situation and continue in office.
Well, and let's move on now to some other stories. Credit rating agencies have cut India's growth forecast. This after India's Q1 GDP figures were below RBI estimates.
What was being feared after the GDP figures were released, that seems to be happening now. The 13.5% Q1 GDP growth rate was below estimates, even below RBI's estimate of 16.2%. And now two agencies have downgraded their GDP forecast for India. Credit agency Moody's has downgraded the GDP forecast for calendar year 2022 to 7.7% from 8.8% earlier. Goldman Sachs has cut the GDP forecast for the financial year 2023 to 7%, down from 7.6%. Now, there's a question on whether the Reserve Bank and the government will also downgrade their GDP forecast for this year, given that the Q1 wasn't as good as they expected. The markets also plunged sharply today after this below expectation GDP figure. The markets are also fearing more interest rate hikes across countries such as the United States. Sensex lost 770 points to end at 58,766, while Nifty lost 216 points to end at 17,542. That was the market's reaction. Another important data point that has come out is the GST figure. The GST collection figure for August 2022, and there's a positive and a negative as well. 1.43 lakh crore GST has been collected in the month of August. The monthly GST collection is above 1.4 lakh crore for the 6th straight month. If we compare annually, it is a 28% rise from August last year. But if we compare monthly, the collection has actually gone down by 4% from the July collection. Experts say that a large part of this annual increase is because of inflation, because, of course, GST is levied on a percentage basis. In a shocking incident of medical apathy in Madhya Pradesh, a 5-year-old boy died in his mother's arms without any treatment at a government health center in Bargi. Though the district administration now claims that the doctor was on duty and it was the child who was brought dead to the healthcare center.
A distraught mother crying for help as she watched her 5-year-old son die on Wednesday outside a government hospital in Bargi in Madhya Pradesh's Jabalpur. The boy's family alleges that despite waiting for hours outside the hospital, not a single doctor attended to the ailing child, who had high fever from burn injuries.
बच्ची को बीमार था तो मैंने लाया तो यहाँ पे कोई व्यवस्था ही नहीं हुई या कोई था ही नहीं.
Equally shocking, this response by the doctor on duty at the hospital, who said he or nurses were not present at the time because of a festival the day before.
आज हो गया लेट कल वाइफ की वो थी उपासना तो गया भी इसलिए था मैं यहाँ से.
ना आपके यहाँ पे फार्मासिस्ट है ना आपकी टेली कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग वाले कोई आए हुए हैं, कोई स्टाफ ही नहीं है यहाँ पे, मात्र अधिकतर महिलाएं हैं और जो कल सब उपासना.
A senior health official in Jabalpur made a contradictory claim, saying the boy was already dead when he reached the hospital and that a doctor had attended to him.
उस बच्चे को जब अस्पताल लाया गया, जैसा डॉक्टर लोकेश श्रीवास्तव जो वहाँ ड्यूटी डॉक्टर थे, मेडिकल ऑफिसर हैं, उनका कहना था कि वो ब्रॉड डेड लाया गया. उन्होंने उसे देखा.
The incident has once again brought to the light the complaints of poor health infrastructure in the state and triggered anguish and frustration among local residents who claim that even hours after the child's death, neither the doctors posted at the health center nor the medical officer were available. With Sanjeev Chaudhary in Jabalpur and camera person Rizwan Khan in Bhopal, Anurag Dwari for NDTV.
That's it then for the moment. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.